Welcome to That Anita Live, the talk show dedicated to providing emotional healing through sharing to help you create a happier life. Many veterans continue to serve America in various roles. Some choose occupations that continue to protect, others launch nonprofits. But Jennifer Naqvi has taken the totality of her experiences and launched a movement to help others heal through organic, handcrafted products. Aromatherapy has many healing qualities, and Jennifer is here to share with us a few masterpieces of her own. But Jennifer, let's start with how you learned the Air Force was an option for you.
Both my parents were paramilitary. My mother was a communications officer. My father was logistics. And I grew up traveling all across the planet, mainly overseas. We lived in Europe, we lived in the Philippines, Pacific, and I didn't want to stop traveling. I didn't want to stop exploring the planet.
Okay.
And there's no way that I could afford that as a civilian.
Okay.
And I was always into engineering and mechanics. My father would buy me all of these sets. I don't even know what they're called now. So I wanted to utilize that in a way that I could actually use for a job. So took the ASVAB, scored high on the ASVAB in mechanics and engineering, and the next thing I know, I'm shipped off to Okinawa and I'm working on F-15s.
Wow, just like that?
Just like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was fantastic. It was really interesting and serendipitous because my parents met at Okinawa. They were both, their first duty stations were at Canadian Air Base. And
they both were in the Air Force?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
My first duty station was at Canadian Air Base.
Okay.
So, okay, something's going on, I'm not sure, but obviously I'm supposed to learn something here.
Yeah.
So I just really took it all in. I was off base as often as I could be.
Mm-hmm.
I took everything in as far as my job. I learned binary, I learned how to read schematics, I learned, basic electronics. I loved my job. I got to work outside in a tropical environment.
Okay.
It was paradise. And that's when I first started learning about farming, because Okinawa is an island off the coast of Japan. And Okinawans don't consider themselves Japanese, they consider themselves Okinawan. So I'd go off base and I would see farms, literally littered kind of throughout the island. Mm. And one thing I really honed in on and observed was that the farmers were up in age. They were in their 60s, 70s, 80s, but they were still outside in the hot sun, shirts off,
wow,
bringing in their crops, working their fields.
Okay.
And I'm like, how is this possible? Because, back in America, everybody has high blood pressure and diabetes by the time they're 30. So what are the Okinawans doing that we're not doing back in the States? Obviously their diet's different, taking into consideration where they live. But their whole approach to living was completely different than how we view living here in America. And it's not good or bad, it's just a different approach. So I said, okay, I have to understand this and I have to get my scientific journal and start asking questions and writing down the answers. So I would go up and I would hang out with the farmers, just to see what they were doing.
Now, how was their diet different from ours?
Lots of fresh produce, lots of fish, omegas, 6-9s, 3-6-9s. Produce. They can't get enough vegetables, can't get enough cabbage, can't get enough. Yes, lots of tea, lots of green tea, which is a detoxifier. And everything comes in fresh that day. So you go down to the market and you have the fresh catch that day. And you're growing your own fruits and vegetables on in your garden or on your farm. So you just really eat what you grow. No chemicals, everything's organic. And it's not only the food, but it's also, I'm sure you've seen movies where people are performing Tai Chi in the morning. So it's also a psychological approach, not necessarily slow living, but everything's done with intent and purpose. And your well-being, your health and well-being is taken very seriously.
A lot more seriously than what we do here. Because everything here is about hustle and bustle, moving from like 5 in the morning until like 10 or 11 at night. People are constantly hustling, bustling into the city, getting to the job. Most of them don't like the jobs they're on.
Yeah.
And they hustle and bustle home.
Go, go, go.
Right, right.
No real thought to yourself. If you get to a drive-through, you get to a drive-through, you scarf
Right.
down something. I don't even know if it's food.
That's
Yeah.
where I am.
And I wanted to explore that too, because the Japanese and the Okinawan culture is such a disciplined culture. They take work very seriously as well.
Okay.
But Okinawans have the longest lifespan on the planet. They have the highest number of centurions. So I'm like, how is this possible? How are they so disciplined and dedicated to their work and able to work in the sun in their in their fields with their shirts off at 70 years old? That's hard work. It's hard living.
Yes.
And how are they able to do this? And they smoke filterless cigarettes. So
Okay, at least they have one vice, right? At least they have one.
yeah, yeah. It's the mental approach and the diet. And I'm sure, you know, through the course of the evolution of their culture, genetics plays into it as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But I said, okay. So I sat down and the medical approach also, Western medicine, I'm sure you've heard the term Eastern medicine or Chinese medicine. A lot of it's apothecary based, herbal based. So what they do is they take a full count of your body chemistry. They ask what you eat, they take a look at your tongue, what your day is like, what are you exposed to, stress, it all factors into how your body responds to your environment, how your body responds to you, how your body responds to your thoughts, what chemicals it releases. So that body of knowledge, they go back and they say, okay, well, this herb or this root addresses this issue. When I went in for an evaluation, apparently my chi is hot, very hot chi. It's not cool chi.
Okay.
So I need something that cools my body down, cools my mind down, slows me down a bit.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay. So she made up a concoction for me, and she says, you really need to change your lifestyle. And
Now, was this when you were there, stationed there?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So how do you, because making everything yourself, there has to be some hustle and bustle in your life too.
Yes.
Now.
Yes. I still work 9 to 5. I work as a network engineer. Yeah.
No, I thought this was full time.
No, yes, you could say I'd still, on my lunch breaks, I'm my clients, I'm posting, I'm Instagramming.
No, there is an entrepreneur somewhere that is 100% in their business 100%. But
That's what I'm working on.
with everything that you learned there, and that was 1920.
This was I'm a lot older than I look. I just turned 40 last month. So this was 1997 through 1999.
How long did you stay there?
2 years. Yeah, to do a 2-year tour.
And then on to
Texas. Texas was my last duty station, Dias Air Force Base.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was just
I took it all in.
just like being here.
At Dias? Yes, yeah. It was the States. It was, it was a vastly different environment. Very.
Were there any moments when you were in the Air Force that were like get real combat moments?
Yes.
Because I would imagine growing up as a military brat, you may have heard or been exposed to, but then
My father was in the Vietnam War.
having that
and
experience yourself.
I was not stationed overseas. I was not stationed, I didn't go to Saudi or Kuwait or the Gulf, luckily.
Yes.
But when our unit would rotate, or the other squadrons would rotate, they would rotate to Saudi and they would come back, and you would see a lot of the emotional and psychological effects. Sometimes, this is common knowledge, there was biological warfare use, and so you saw the effects of that also. But mainly it was the emotional response to what was experienced over there. We weren't prepared for it. It's not like we were Japanese samurai who were separated from society and out in the woods literally practicing combat for 1,000 years. And then when we came back, at that time, and the VA has gotten a lot better with it, there really weren't a lot of avenues as far as healing or addressing PTSD or addressing the emotional and psychological aspect.
Now, did you start at that time to begin to exercise what you learned while you were stationed at Okinawa?
Not No.
Okay,
not
because
until
for a
got
minute
back to
I had you in my mind as the mad scientist, and as your colleagues and coworkers would come back, you were like, well, let me
No,
okay.
I didn't really. This was more of an incubation period when I was over stationed in Okinawa, going to the farms and hanging out with the farmers and hanging out with the practitioners, the holistic practitioners.
Okay.
And so I guess you could say that was the incubation period, really just observing and paying attention and absorbing all of the knowledge. And I didn't know what to do with it, or at that time, that really wasn't on my radar. I was more interested in just absorbing all of it and taking it in and learning and just enjoying it, because I knew I would never get to see this again.
What was the most fascinating thing you learned from the Okinawans?
Okinawa the culture was a conversation or a narrative in duality, I would say. While there is a disciplined approach to living, the undercurrent of it is slow living and a holistic approach to yourself and a holistic approach to the environment that you're in. That's actually what really helped me heal. Was that aspect right there. So when I came back, I was like, well, nothing's working for me. Talk therapy isn't working for me. Going to the VA isn't working for me. I don't want, and not that I'm talking negatively about prescription help, but that wasn't
right.
Yeah,
it's
that
only
wasn't
what
for
helps
me
and what
either.
doesn't, and everything is different for everybody.
Yeah, yes, exactly. The best way for me to heal, and this is directly linked to my personality, I like to address things head on. And so Buddhism and meditation was huge for me. The Buddhist philosophy can be it's very dogmatic about personal responsibility and accountability. So in order for me to start this healing journey, I had to take complete autonomy of everything, even if it wasn't mine to take, even if it was done to me. If you can kind of wrap your head around, simply because I was physically present, I still had to take that into account and take autonomy over it. Not necessarily responsibility for it, but autonomy over it. And so that helped me take power over my life. And I said, okay, so now that that's addressed, and I've addressed the fact that I'm here and that I'm alive, now I can embark on completely healing, and that opened up a breadth of experience for me.
Because even with domestic violence, there's a section in one of the books that I wrote called Hit But Not the Target, and where I was exposed to domestic violence, but the batterer was not beating me. Though I still had a lot of, so I can relate to what you're saying as far as there's still a process there where you need to heal, even though you weren't the target or you weren't the one that was actually involved in. Because it's, no matter what somebody else does, we still have to take account and responsibility to heal ourselves.
Right.
We'll be right back for Jennifer to walk us through a lot of her products and what she actually makes.
What if I told you that you could stop the negative tape from playing inside your head? What if, with 7 simple steps, you could leave the pain of the past behind and live every day as your true, authentic self? It is possible, and you can do it. The ebook, 7 Simple Steps to Beat Emotional Baggage, How to Become Whole, Healed, Healthy, and Happy, shares how to resolve emotional baggage and feel free to live true to your own personality, spirit, and character. Transform negative thinking into positive thinking and become equipped to boldly face your past and resolve emotional pain. Get your free copy at thatanitalive.com/ebook.
And welcome back. I'm here with Jennifer Naqvi, and walk us through. I am excited to find out. First of all, I love lavender. So when you walked through the door with lavender, I was like, So what are some of the healing elements, or what are some of the...
Sure. Lavender is a calming agent. So lavender is part of the mint family. but its essential oils and aromatherapy act as a calming agent. Topically, if you want to use it for topical applications, it is an antibacterial and antifungal. So in lotions, I use it in my, I infuse it in my face cream, my body lotions, and my beard oil, my men's beard oil, and my
You make all
soaps.
of these by hand yourself.
I do.
So when you say infuse,
Yes.
for us lay people, what does that mean?
Okay. So I do what's called, referred to as traditional
that smells so
apothecary.
good.
I know, I love it. It's just like right away, you're just,
This is lavender.
yes. Yeah, so,
And Jennifer came through the door explaining to us that she picked this morning. And you picked this in?
at Soleado, Lavender Farms. It's about a 45-minute drive from here. It's a family-owned farm, third-generation lavender farm. And throughout the growing season or throughout the harvest season, you can go and you can pick your own lavender and bring it home with you. Yeah, she's got classes where you can make lavender wands. She distills her own essential oil on site with a steam distill, not solvent distilled. It's much more therapeutic that way, and you don't strip off all of the beneficial oils. So what I do with this is I use carrier oils, either in the form of pumpkin seed oil, which is really high in oleic acid, hemp seed oil, flaxseed oil, and what I do is I take the buds and whatever other herbs and botanicals. Comfrey is one of my favorite. Comfrey and calendula, they're both healing herbs. Comfrey has a lot of lantone in it. What that does is it's a cell regenerative and it speeds up healing. So I take all of the herbs and botanicals and you fill a jar halfway with whatever carrier oil that you would like, and then you put the herbs and botanical carrier oil on top, and then you shake, and then you keep it in the windowsill for about 5 weeks. And what it does, it's solar infused. So the sun stimulates the herbs and botanicals to release their essential oils into the carrier oil. So now you actually have a concoction.
Girl.
Yeah.
Time and patience is all I heard. Time and patience.
I love it. You have to let Mom Nature do her thing. She knows what she's doing. So I go with her.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else do you have? Now, wow, this is heavy.
Yes, this was made by a local artisan. Everything I have, this was made by a local seamstress. This was whittled or wood or handcrafted by a local artisan, local farmer. Everything I incorporate into my business and everything I incorporate into my life, I try to cultivate. I'm very dedicated to cultivating from within and strengthening the local community, which is why I choose to support and do business with those folks.
No fast food at her house.
No. Well, maybe my husband and my son, but not me.
Okay, walk me through what we have here.
So this would be what you would call a traditional apothecary infusion. So this is what I would refer to as an herb and botanical facial repair cream.
What's the difference between apothecary and aromatherapy?
Aromatherapy is scent therapy. So if I were to have a bottle of essential oils and I were to rub them on my hand and go like this over your face, your scent senses would be. So you know how scent recalls memories. Scent is one of the most, so that would be aromatherapy.
Okay.
And apothecary is, so you had apothecaries, what they were back in the 1800s, back in the day, were pharmacies, basically. So they were referred to as apothecaries, and they utilized traditional apothecary practices, kind of like Eastern medicine, to provide healing salves, to provide tinctures, to provide lotions, bitters, medicines that you could take orally.
Organic herb and botanical infused handcrafted apothecary skincare.
Yeah.
Wow. You actually see the ingredients in there. How close can you get? Wow. Okay, so what am I smelling here?
So I think I infuse this with grapefruit essential oil. So grapefruit essential oil, some lavender, and lemongrass. And if you can see all of the ingredients here, I really wanted this to be a restorative cream. So you can use this either day or night. So the carrier oils that I use are light. They're what's called fast absorbers, so they absorb quickly into the skin. So if you wear makeup, you can apply your makeup afterwards, or if you want to put on a little bit more, you can do it at night. So this also has shea butter in it. Shea butter has a SPF of 6. Not very high, but it provides, a natural SPF. So if you're interested in wearing that during the day, I like it at night. It's
really light.
Yes. I don't want to lay down on my pillow.
How old is your son?
He's 8.
What does he think of all of this?
He has fun with it. He comes home, and if I'm in the lab, I call it my lab, and he comes in and he helps me. I have my mortar and pestle, and he's helping me grind up herbs and botanicals, and he puts that in, and he's like, Mom, I feel like we're in like a Halloween, like we're at a cauldron here. So he likes it. I bring him out with me to the farms that I go to. He hangs out with all of we call ourselves permies, permaculturalists.
Okay.
So we grow everything without pesticides, and we grow it. What permaculture does is you're building your own sustainable ecosystem. So everything that you plant supports everything else that you plant. It's crop rotation. So you're not having to rely on a lot of equipment. You're not having to rely on synthetics or pesticides. So every time we go out to a class or we go out to the farm, he's with me, and he just gets to run around. We don't get to do that in the city, so no. We're out there all day. It's important.
So what's next?
Okay, so this is my newest product. So I know beards are in fashion nowadays, and I didn't put any oil in there, but you can see the
beard oil, the citrus life.
Yes.
Apply desired amount. Okay. Products I can't pronounce. But I see sweet almond oil. Now, what does this do for a men's beard?
So it's 2-step, well, 3-step, I guess you could say. So I always try and take a tiered approach to addressing the concerns of my clients. So the feedback that I was getting was from a skin perspective, and also from a maintenance perspective, and also from a texture perspective. So my clients wanted something that addressed skin irritation or dryness or flakiness. They also wanted something to address manageability, and then they also wanted something to address texture. They didn't want wiry texture. They wanted the hair follicles to be softened. So I said, okay, well, let me go to the drawing board and figure out what herbs, botanicals, and oils I can concoct together to address those concerns. And that's what I came up with.
Organic lavender soap. With shea butter. What is the process? How long does it take you from idea to finished product?
Sure. So for the soap, I infuse the oils for 3 weeks in a windowsill. And then I'll make the soap in 24 hours. I'll unmold it in 72 hours, and then I'll cut it, and it has to cure for 4 to 6 weeks. So it's a long process.
Soap has to cure?
Yes.
Why?
I don't use accelerators. I don't use firming agents. So making soap the traditional way, you have to allow, because we have to use lye in order for the chemical process, you have to let that evaporate. You have to bring the pH to a level that the body is comfortable with.
So now, what is the soap good for?
So in soap making, it's a lot of fun because you can customize. So like this soap is a moisturizing soap, so I use, and everything's done by percentages, so I use a high percentage of shea butter. Shea butter I love using shea butter because it's called it's unsaponifiable, so it doesn't turn into soap. So basically I'm making a soap bar with suspended shea butter in it. So when you're washing, it's still lathering, but when you walk away, it's not that dry feeling.
Oh, okay. What is lemongrass good for?
I love lemongrass. Lemongrass is another topical agent. So it's a great antiseptic, it's a great antifungal, antibacterial, and from an aromatherapy perspective, it's very brightening. But it's not overpowering or brightening, kind of like a citrus or orange, where it's like zing, you're waking up. This has a sweetness to it that undercuts the citrus. So it's more of kind of a uplifting. And if you grow lemongrass in your garden or your front yard, it repels mosquitoes. It has a little bit of citronella in it.
Really?
Yeah, so does lavender, rosemary.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's not a strong citrus at all.
No, it's not overpowering. It's just, I like it because it's uplifting.
Now, do you make candles at all?
I do. I make soy candles. So I use soy wax, 100% kosher certified soy wax. I don't use any stabilizers or any accelerants. A lot of my friends have allergies. So everything I've crafted, it's all based on the feedback that I get from clients or from friends. And I only use 100% organic essential oils as scent. That takes care of the aromatherapy aspect of it.
Now, tea tree. I've heard a lot about tea tree.
Yes.
What is tea tree good for?
Tea tree is a great antiseptic. So it literally kills bacteria. But you want to be very careful with the amount that you use. So don't run to the store, go get a tea tree bottle.
She said tea tree oil.
No, it will burn your skin if you apply it directly in too large of a quantity. So you always want to suspend it in a carrier oil or in a lotion before you put it on.
I don't want to tear it.
No, you're fine. So, yeah. So this takes care.
This is a little darker.
Yeah, so what I did is I infused this with soap berries because I wanted an extra clean. So some of the feedback that I also receive from my male clients that have beards, they get a lot of oil buildup. The oils, your skin secretes a lot of sebum as your hair is going out of your out of its pore, out of its face. So I wanted an extra cleaning agent, but since I don't use surfactants or detergents, I had to find a natural way, and I came across soap berries or soap nuts. They grow on a tree in Africa, and you pluck them off, you let them dry, you can put them in a sock, and you can put them in your washing machine, and it'll wash your clothes. Or you can put it in a jar, fill it up with water, it'll set up, and you can wash your counter with it.
Soap nuts?
Yes.
Really?
So, yes, soap grows on trees.
Meditation, calming scents, natural ingredients, they all have great qualities that can help you achieve balance, contentment, and even happiness. These items can help you become the master of your emotions and prevent others from dancing on your hot buttons. To reach out to Jennifer, you can find her on Instagram at Oh So Good Organics. That's Oh So Good Organics. I'm Anita, your host. Be sure to check out thatanitalive.com for where and when to see our next episode.